Menzies.
Andrew. Have you been, dude?
Yeah, sore.
Sore? Yeah, you had a big weekend.
Yeah, it was great.
Lots of
I was taking down a barn.
physical manual labour, weren't you? Yeah, and you actually were taking down a barn.
Yeah, hopefully we can put it up like the Amish, though. So.
Well, mate, I tell you what, you are in Northland, and this place is pretty amazing country, and you could almost say it's an Amish paradise.
Well, you know, I'll give you it, okay?
Thank you kindly. Man, Cecilia De Donatis.
Yeah, she was a interesting podcast.
She was.
I guess
Is
going to be.
Cecilia is one of those ladies that is. She was like a lot of guests we had, and when you watch and listen to it, you'll understand what we're talking about. But super nervous at the start,
yeah,
and then gradually as the podcast sort of moved on, she just got a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Which was cool. And our first Italian as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, she talks about having lived in New Zealand for 10 years and she lived in Australia for 7. But she's still got that amazing Italian accent still. Like, it's still there.
Very much so.
And, you know, so everyone, pay attention.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
some of the stories she tells are absolutely amazing. You know, when she's talking about... you know, she goes to do a what is it she does? She goes to the island to study the tribe and learn about them, and she kind of backwards and forwards from Australia. Fascinating story. You know, she brought in her art into the studio, which was cool. It was just beautiful, and you know, to find out that she studied clinical psychology.
Yeah. Of all things.
Who would have thought? I mean, we've had Ash.
Yeah,
Ash
I was
Ellis.
going to say, she had a similar background.
Who did psychology as well.
Yeah.
And then they just sort of transition across to art.
I guess they have a different way of seeing people too, which makes it a bit easier to paint them. Like that one that she had.
The big one, yeah, it was amazing, right? And you know, I think I even said that a few times in the podcast. It was like sitting so close to it and being able to see the depth and the detail. It was absolutely beautiful.
No, it's definitely one of the best I've seen.
Yeah.
Like in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, if you're a listener to the podcast, maybe go to our Facebook or Instagram page and have a look, because we'll have it'll be in the photos. You'll see it.
Yeah.
But it's an absolutely beautiful image.
Yeah, for sure.
She does. You know, and she just her stories.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Yeah.
And in a really cool, interesting way as well, because...
And the different creative things she tries.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
The one really interesting one that she tries with the sand involved as well. So make sure you have a listen, because that's just... You know, she's like, I'm a painter, and then you find out she's got these other artistic disciplines as well. It was just like, I just kept getting blown away by how she's like, oh, I'm a painter. Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about painting. I've done this and that. It's like, whoa! One of them you just completely out of left field. You don't expect.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's sit down and have a conversation with Cecilia De Donatis. Welcome, Cecilia De Donatis.
Hi, Mark.
Hi. Welcome to the Northland Artist Conversation. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Are you welcome?
It's amazing. Now, this is going to be a lot of fun for me. This will be a huge amount of fun. Because I always enjoy learning about artists in general, but I have a very specific interest in painting, because I can't. At all. If you ask me to do a drawing or any kind of art, I'll draw you an amazing car looking side on at it. As long as it looks like Knight Rider, then I will do an amazing picture. But when it comes to anything like this, no. So mad respect. I think that the fact that you can do this sort of stuff is amazing. So we've got the three pieces. We've got, what have we got down here? We've got Alice stepping through a mirror. Yes.
Yep, that's correct.
And then we've got, what have we got here?
It's a bit like a visual poetry. I just wanted to do a light piece with a lot of air coming through and the feeling of waking up. Just the pose, the model suggested that with sheets there, and so when it made me think about the sea and the way I feel like when I wake up in front of the sea.
Yeah, of course.
And then the sail looked like a bit empty, and so I searched for a poem by Pablo Neruda about the sea. I actually
Is there a poem in there?
I wrote it up on the sails, not all of it because it was very long.
Yeah.
But I actually didn't know the poem, but I knew he surely had written a poem about the sea because he's a poet.
Yes.
And I found the perfect poem. I really like the beginning of it. Yeah. And he says, I need the sea for what it teaches me.
Yes.
And I don't know.
Okay. Oh, wow. And then obviously I've got the one behind me. Don't know if the wide shot's going to pick that up, which is a pussycat with flowers.
And a moth kind of landed on its face, but the eyes on the moth are also the cat's eyes, and that's like an example of my art being playful.
Yes. So, funny story to tell you. I used to be a singer in a band, and my guitarist had a fear of three things: clowns, people licking pillows, and moths. Yep. The guys are looking at me like, that's really weird. So I got a friend of mine to do a painting, just a drawing of a moth wearing clown makeup, licking a pillow. It was hilarious. Needless to say, I was not popular. Anywho, man, that got off topic really quick. Now, thank you very much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Obviously, your time is quite valuable. Albeit that we had a bit of a boo-boo recently. You had your event that you were going down to Auckland for, and the rain.
Yes,
yeah.
It was cancelled, so this is a good mood booster.
It is. Absolutely. It's nice to get back out and doing it. For the people listening at home, Cecilia has brought in, as I said, 3 pieces of art. So make sure you have a check out on the YouTube, because they are actually very beautiful. They're very, very beautiful paintings. Thanks. I think this is probably my favourite out of all of them. And the reason being, it's the texture and the colour and the depth on the skin. It's amazing. It's so lifelike.
That's my most recent painting too.
Really? Yeah. How long does something like that take?
Well, I've been painting a lot in the last 3 years, so since I started. So not super long, but all my skills that I accumulated in these years went into it. And it's oil paint, and then so there's a drying time, and then sometimes I let them sit, work on something else, but I keep them in my radars, and then I notice things that I need to change. So a week to get it to a space where I like it enough, and then as I was saying, the sails were a bit empty, and took me another week to notice that, and then I started thinking, what can I do about that? And
So I'll make sure I get this right. So your process, you'll sort of start a piece and then let it dry, and then you might leave it for a few days, but always so it's visible. But you kind of work on other stuff as well. Yeah. And then if you go, ooh, that would be quite cool, and then you might go back to it and do a little bit extra, and then sort of carry on with other pieces.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's the drying time, but also the drying time of your mind, because you might find that's not where you want it to be yet, but you don't know what is missing. And I think it's probably quite similar when you're composing a musical piece. Sometimes you have to let things sit, and then you get that distance, and you're able to see what's missing. Bit
of separation. Yeah. That way you're not so you're completely involved in it as well. Exactly. Wow. Okay. Now, your journey to Whangarei. Let's go way back, because you have an accent.
I have an accent. I come from the antipodes. I come from Italy.
Yes. Was it antipodes?
I think that's the way it's
Antipodes?
said. Antipodes.
Yes. Classics. Boys and girls, classical studies. I did it in high school.
Yeah.
30 years later, still coming in helpful.
Yeah, I've been away from Italy for 16 years. And,
wow.
Yeah, and no, it doesn't show in my accent.
16 years?
Yeah, so I left after my graduation, my undergraduate degree, which was in clinical psychology, and when I did, my bit of training in that, and then I left. I was about 24 when I left.
Okay, yeah.
In 2005.
Yes.
And then I spent 7.5 years in Australia.
Oh, that's a shame. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. To all our Australian listeners and viewers, that was a joke. That's Kiwi humor.
Australians really love Kiwis, but they're a bit maybe patronising, and Kiwis don't like that about Australians.
No, not particularly.
And when I came to New Zealand in 2012,
yes,
and met my life partner, and I was more free to move than he was, so I moved.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, and now we've been together for 10 years, so I've been in New Zealand for 10 years.
Oh, 10 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations, very cool. That's awesome. Let's go back to school. Let's go back, because obviously there's an interesting part there when clinical psychology. Yeah. Now, clinical psychology and art are quite diametrically opposed. One is very feely, and clinical psychology is, well, clinical, it's kind of in the name. Yeah. And back in school, like when you were primary school and intermediate and high school, did you have an interest in art?
Yeah, I always loved and admired artists, but I never saw myself as an artist. And so I did some drawings in my free time. I never fully applied myself to... I remember when I was a young girl, I thought to myself, I just want to learn to draw a face that looks like a face. I gave myself this goal. Yeah. It doesn't need to be beautiful. It doesn't need to be awesome. I just want to learn to draw a face. I'm a bit obsessed with drawing faces and the human figure.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
right.
At school, I would get bored listening to lessons. I would just do portraits of the teachers that look like the teachers, and then pass them around, made everybody laugh.
Oh, nice.
And
that's okay. At high school, I went there to eat lunch and watch movies.
Yeah. So the thing about Italy is, there's no art taught in school. So hang on, Italy.
Yeah, Italy.
Yeah.
It's Italy. There's no art taught in Italy. Wow.
There's a little bit of art history that gets taught 1 hour a week in high school.
Okay.
And that's really academic. Okay, let's go through this painting, all this symbolism, and there's no art practice, not even at primary school. Yeah.
So nothing. Is it all like, here's some maths and English and science and...
Lots of writing.
Lots of writing?
Yeah, lots of reading and writing and compositions, free compositions. I mean, with a title, but then you have to develop quite a few pages of handwritten writing.
So, still creative though, because are you writing your own work?
Yeah, so I loved writing, and I wanted to be a writer when I was a young girl.
Right, okay.
And, I could easily swung that way.
If it's geared towards that way, it could be quite easy and comfortable to become a writer, couldn't it?
Yes, it wouldn't have been easy at all, but
no?
it would. It seemed that I was headed that way. What I'm referring to is at the end of the undergraduate degree in Italy, you do a thesis. You prepare a thesis. It's a work that's like what you do for a master here, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
And you can choose to go into a library and just do a anthropological, like a gathering of knowledge that's already been written down.
Oh, yeah.
Or you can do it by research, and you do your own research project, and of course.
Oh, you get a choice.
Yeah, you get the choice, and of course I went for the research project.
Yes.
And first I went to see the ethologist teacher, because was one of my exams was about animal behavior.
Right, yes.
Loved animals, always loved them, and really interested in their behavior. And then I asked the teacher, the professor there, what do you have on offer for a research student that wants to do a thesis and got good marks in your subject? And well, we could do a research about greetings among primates.
Greetings among primates.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And I thought, but there was nothing just ready. There was no momentum in that. So I went to my other subject, professor. My other subject I really love, which was ethnopsychiatry, which is
ethnopsychiatry.
The way that other cultures deal with madness and healing and all of that. By other cultures, I meant not Western industrialized Western cultures.
Yes.
The extremely fascinating field. And he had a really good proposal for me because he had just been asked to have a student to send to Cuba to write about the social life of this particular district of La Habana that had been founded in the early 1900s by an Italian entrepreneur.
Yep.
And there was the anniversary was coming up. There was fundings. They needed 2 students, one from the humanistic area and one from architecture, to go there.
Okay. Yep.
On a paid trip to La Habana to do the research.
You went.
And I was like, yeah. Actually, I was gonna go to Venezuela in the Amazon because I got some family. Not in the Amazon, but in Venezuela. And then the Chavez regime came up. It became really dangerous to go to Venezuela.
Right,
My uncle said, no, it's not the case. And I was like, okay, I'm left. But then he had this other thing to propose me. He said, do you know Spanish? I was like, yeah. Do you know it well? Yeah, I know it really well. I want to go. I was incredibly lucky. So I went... I was part of this project. Ended up writing, co-authoring a book about this district, Pogolotti.
Wow.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah. Okay. So you've done your school. You've gotten through high school, and you've obviously had a bit of an interest in drawing.
Yeah.
And sort of art in general. And at what point did you decide to go, don't want to do art, but clinical psychology seems like a really good idea?
Well, it wasn't even in my radar to do art. But yeah, clinical psychology was a bit of a selection process. And so I was like, okay, I need something that doesn't have math in it because I suck at numbers. I really like philosophy as a subject, but by that time of my life, I got out of my head a bit. I wanted to have something a bit more practical. I was like, clinical psychology. Psychology is kind of like philosophy in certain ways, but it's more practical.
Okay.
And I think as I was approaching the end of my psychology degree, I found psychology was also still too theoretical, and I wanted something even more practical, and that's what took me closer and closer to the field of anthropology.
Anthropology, yep.
And then I ended up doing a PhD just by chance in anthropology. It was another lucky strike. My boyfriend at the time, Italian, moved to Australia.
Okay.
For family reasons, and I went and visited him for a month, and at the end of the month I had to make up my mind whether I was gonna live there with him or go back to Italy.
Go back,
And I was like pros and cons, and I was really blown away by nature and the fauna, the animals in Australia.
Yeah, definitely.
It was just incredible to go to the beach and in a little tiny water pool find 15 starfish. And I remember putting them all on my arms and then doing a video for my mom. Hey mom, happy birthday, with all the colorful starfish on my body, just blowing everybody but mine away. And so I decided, not so much because of a boyfriend, but because of nature, to move to Australia.
Right,
so it was like my ticket to Australia. Sorry.
Okay.
And
we apologise now. She's sorry. But what a great way. So I mean, you went to Australia for the culture and the environment and the landscape and the creatures. The boyfriend was a little bit further down the list.
Yeah, as I say, there was problems in the relationship. When I went back to Italy, it took 8 months to figure out and get ready to come back to Australia.
Yep.
And then we actually lasted only 6 months together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then he ended up coming back to Italy, and I ended up staying there.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's funny. Yeah. Now, what did you do in Australia at that time? Are you, because you're not doing art, are you?
No, just a little bit in my... I mean, not really doing, but it's also coming through the cracks of my being. It's just wanting... I travel with a sketchbook, and yes. I do a lot of live drawings, and often in that period when I was traveling, I would just leave the camera home.
Yep, right.
And bring my sketchbook and record the trips that way.
Yep, that's right.
And so I done a live drawing course just before moving to Australia. A friend of mine was enrolled into this night course.
Courses, yeah.
Night course at the art high school, the one that you do high school,
right.
art at, that I wasn't allowed to go to, and it was like a semi-tutored live drawing course, and I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And then that took me a bit closer to making art regularly.
So art was sort of, let me see if I've got this right. Art was kind of in the background, and then gradually over time it just sort of started creeping forward a little bit more.
Yeah, there was a few moments where
right.
I just find myself being really happy making art. But still it seemed like something so remote. I wouldn't even dream of it. But just doing it, as I was saying, it would just come through anyway. So I started my doctorate, and I was living in this remote island called Gallywinko, Elco Island, in 500 kilometers northeast of Darwin, in the top of Australia. Figure that out.
Northeast or northwest?
Northeast.
Northeast.
No, wait. Is it north? No, northeast. Yeah,
northeast. Oh, wow. So 500 kilometres.
It's called Arnhem Land, the place.
Arnhem Land?
Yeah. It's
Editor Rocky, can we find Arnhem Land? We'll figure it out.
I was in northeast Arnhem Land.
Wow.
With the Yolngu people, and the particular group I was staying with was the Jamburapuyungu people. And I would, as a way to learn the language, I would draw comics of things that we had done together as a group, like hunting trips or just hanging out outside of the house. And then in my broken Jamburapuyungu language, write down things and then read them to people, and they would, of course, laugh a lot. And correct me. So I use it I use drawing as a tool to connect with people and to teach myself as well. And in seminars as well, I would do a drawing of what I've been doing on the field. Instead of having a picture showing on the PowerPoint, it would be a vignette, a sketch.
So you were on this island, and there was a tribe of people on there that didn't speak English.
No, they do speak English.
They do speak English, right.
But you don't really learn much about people if you don't speak their language.
Speak their language, wow.
And also my whole point of being there was to learn about their way of dealing with madness and their way of dealing with healing, and what they had to say. So I had studied the language with John Greatorex. That's an amazing person and teacher. I was teaching it at Darwin University. So before going in the field, I had been studying the language for about a year, and now still
at Darwin University.
Still knew really little because it's so different.
Well, I imagine learning any language from scratch would be quite challenging.
Yeah, but also what I found, I learned other languages in my life, but what I found is like, Spanish, French, English, with different cultures, with different people, but we cannot have a similar way to relate to each other at, say, a dinner.
Right. Yep.
A dinner party.
Yep.
You go to a totally different culture. It's you cannot translate what you would say at home into the language because it still not make any sense. Because you say different things, and in the similar or if there's any similar social situation, you still say different things. So you have to just sit back and learn what's the appropriate thing to say, or even what makes sense to say.
Yeah, because you might. It'd be one of those things where you try and you've got a sentence you want to say, but if you say it in like how English might say it, it might come out backwards or sort of confused or muddled for them. So you've got to learn how to structure a sentence their way, right?
Yes, and it's not just the structure of a sentence, also what do you say? Like you want to make a joke? Oh, it takes a long time to learn what's funny there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be terrifying for me. But still, that would be amazing. How long were you there?
So I was oh my God, I think I was in and out of the field.
Yes.
I was maybe a couple of years in and out of the field, or even 3 years. 3 years in and out of the field.
Spending sort of time going between the island and then
and
back to the mainland.
University, and also went back to Italy for twice, one in these years. The PhD ended up being a co-supervision with the University of Venice. And
right.
So I had this opportunity to spend 3 months in spring in Venice for 2 years in a row, and I had to present seminars there and just interact with uni life there. Yeah.
And that led you to get your doctorate?
Yes, you get a doctorate.
So you are Cecilia de Donatis with letters after your name as well.
Yeah, sometimes I use them for fun.
Fun?
Yeah, like when you have to do your ticket and you say preferred title, and sometimes I said doctor. Once I put captain, and then the lady at the check-in was like really suspicious, like, you captain? Captain of what? And I was like really late to get on the plane. I had my baby with me, and I was like, I don't know, a boat? And she was like Captain disgusted.
That's hilarious.
So the doctor is not as exciting as captain, but captain.
So what you have a doctorate in?
In medical anthropology, which I'm not a medic at all, but like the field of ethnopsychiatry. Currently it's not so called. Yeah, it's called medical anthropology.
Medical anthropology.
Yeah, look at other cultures' way to deal with issues that are dealt with by the medical field in our culture.
Right, yes.
So it's a very convoluted way to explain it. So what does it mean for other cultures to be mad? And what do people do to help other people heal? Mm-hmm. And also the interaction with a Western medical with a Western health system.
Yes.
When it's available in the place.
Yeah. You've got your doctorate. You've got these wonderful, amazing letters after your name, and you're still travelling around Australia with your sketchbook. And you're drawing with pencil. When do you start experimenting with colour?
Actually, we have to go back on the island.
We've got to go back to the island.
Yeah.
Back to the island.
I was scared of colours. Like, not scared of no, but like a little bit, maybe also like that.
Intimidated?
Yeah, I was intimidated by colors. I learned after it's a common thing among artists that are used to draw, and they get maybe very quite confident at drawing. But it's and I didn't really know what to do with color, and but when I got asked by one of the elders there to when they found out I had an interest in drawing, to draw these scenes from episodes of their life, and they had to be in color, and that kind of forced me to use color and to stop being shy about that. And there was it's kind of it gave me some. I thought, oh, it's legit because I'm being asked by somebody I cannot say no to. So
no, got to be respectful, right?
Yeah, and it was like a shyness and a lack of confidence, but not modesty. But actually, what if I'm gonna flunk it and do the colors are wrong? When it was not an issue anymore because the important thing was to get the job done.
Yeah.
And
did they have like a art supply store on the island?
And I'll bring my own supply. Yeah.
So you went back to the okay. Because I was gonna, there was obviously going to be my next question was, with no art supplies store on the island, did you have to make your own colours? That would have been a great question, because if you were there for a period of time and someone says, do me this painting or this drawing, and suddenly you're like, I've got no colour. Yeah. I can't just whip down the road to the local art supply store and buy a pack of 6 or 12 or whatever. So you came back to Australia and then purchased some and then went back. Is that right?
Yeah. The island is part of Australia as well, but yeah.
I would big Australia.
I wouldn't go anywhere without. Actually, yeah, that's a bit contradictory of me to say I was afraid of colors, but I had the colors with me. I just wouldn't use them.
You had color already.
That's
interesting.
I wouldn't use them as much. I certainly would only maybe do a little tiny watercolors. Yeah, watercolor set.
A watercolor set.
Yeah.
Nice. So that you started off doing the watercolor stuff for one of the elders.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Can you remember what the picture was?
Yes, it's a family.
Yes.
On a little boat, bit bigger than a dinghy.
Okay.
With a sail made out of a blanket, and the story was that they're gone across from the island to the land in front of it.
Yeah.
No, wait. They had been left by a motorboat. Another family member dropped them there on a motorboat, and then they were meant to be picked up the next day, and this person never showed up, and then they ended up finding this old broken dinghy on the beach.
Right.
They repaired the best they could, and they made the sail with whatever material was available, somebody had a blanket. They made a sail out of a blanket.
Yeah.
And the whole group, so the grandma and 3 or 4 children and a couple of other adults came back on this makeshift dinghy with a makeshift blanket and sailed all the way back. And it was really exciting.
Was this one picture or a series?
This one is one picture, yeah.
Wow.
No, it's a series. There's a series of smaller drawings that was made afterwards because somebody from the school saw the bigger A3 picture and asked me to do, they wanted to make it into a book to use in the local school. And so I did then do another 7 drawings of all of, and because a lot of things happened to them in this trip. And there was also a bull at some stage.
A bull.
Somebody had to fence off a bull.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was sort of, and so essentially you started off doing the one drawing, and then essentially you ended up illustrating a whole book.
Yeah, the book never got actually made, I think. It just ended up in nothing. But the school paid me anyway. So that was my really first paid gig as an artist. And there was another aha moment. Was like, oh, somebody actually paid me to do some drawings.
I've got money.
I didn't really care about the book not being made. No, it wasn't even about the money. It was like just this slowly getting closer and closer to see myself as an artist. Still wouldn't call myself an artist. Other people maybe would. But
do you see yourself as an artist now?
Well, yeah.
Okay, good. It's, we've had a few guests on there that they don't consider themselves artists. And it's like, but you are because you're here. Yeah. We wouldn't have you sitting in the podcast here if you weren't an artist. We wouldn't go, hi, I'm Bob. I've just walked in off the street to come down and chat.
Imagine that, having somebody pretending they're an artist to get on the podcast.
I know. That would be funny. That would be hilarious. Just have someone impersonating an artist to come in and just sit down and talk with me. That'd be weird. So you're in Australia for 7 years. You've started opening up and exploring a bit more with colour.
Yeah.
Are you starting to do larger paintings at this time? Or are you still doing the smaller ones?
After that experience, I was, I did a few A3 while I was there, but then I went back to my sketchbook and no color. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
So you
was when I moved to New Zealand. At a certain point, we were living with this old friend of my partner, who's a full-time artist. And I see him at work, and then I get inspired to do the same, to create.
Okay, yeah.
I actually start drawing on good quality paper with the intention of creating a piece of art, an artwork, and not just memories and sketches on loose pieces of paper or sketchbooks. Let's do something that's finished and looks finished and it looks like something. That's when I started, I was already in New Zealand, and I did this series of A3 watercolor pencil drawings, hybrid between drawings and paintings.
Okay.
And I did quite a few of them, and then I'd start having problems with using pencils. With my hand. I started
RSI type stuff.
Yeah, I was noticing my hand was start to be in pain when I was trying to get as much pigment as I could on the paper. There's only as much you can get out of a pencil. And that's when I had the first flash in my mind, say, I should skip, go on to brushes and painting. And then a friend of mine somehow told me, pencils and papers like the Cinderella of the artwork. Like you can, if you want to ever think of selling things for a profit, painting is better.
Yes.
And then I was on the Outlook for about 3 years, but we were moving around. We also went back to Australia, Italy in the meantime. But I was on the Outlook for somebody that could teach me. And then we moved to Parwa Bay.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful area out there.
And I don't do it so much anymore, but at the time I used to do regular life drawing modeling. So wherever we went, I checked was places where I can get gigs, and I found out that the Quarry Art Centre that way.
Yes.
So because I have regular life drawing classes, sessions there.
Yeah.
And then I walked into one of the studios, and I saw Michael Francis McCarthy's work there, and which are in oil landscapes, and very different from what I do, because I do more illustrative, figurative style.
Yeah.
And but I could see they were really, really good, and I was like, if he can teach me, I want to learn from him. If he's willing to teach, I definitely want him as a teacher. And so I asked him, do you teach? And he said, do you, what do you do? And so, I got drawings and I like to do these kind of things, but in painting, do you think you can teach me? So, yeah, absolutely. And that's how it started, and that's when I shifted to painting.
So essentially you fully transitioned from pencils to painting, yeah?
Yeah, in 2019, I think that was,
Ooh, pre-pandemic.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. And what was the gentleman's name again?
It's Michael Francis McCarthy. On his social medias and his website, he calls himself Francis McCarthy, because he says there's too many Michael McCarthy. But
fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's it's
Michael Francis McCarthy, but he's known as Francis McCarthy.
Yeah.
Okay. How long did he tutor you for?
So for 6 months, I had take away school holidays and times when the child was sick.
Yes.
But once a week, I would go into town and have a lesson with him.
Right. Okay.
And he was really, really good as a teacher and as a mentor and as a coach as well.
Yeah.
And he didn't try to teach me what he was doing.
Yes.
Like he said, what do you want to do? And I say, and bring a sketch of what you would like to paint together. And so I created a drawing, an illustration, and then he painted what in my style, in a way. We painted side by side the same painting. So whenever I got stuck, and he would, paint and talk at the same time. And if I was stuck, I would look what he was doing. And
so he could almost be a point of reference for you.
Yes, a fantastic way of teaching. And I actually don't know anyone else that can teach that way or that teaches that way. And I think he has a 20-year background as a commercial illustrator, so he knows figurative really, really well. Yeah, he knows his craft, and he just doesn't do it for a choice. But now he does this poetic tonalist landscape. So tonalism is a way where you suggest things with the use of light, but there's not so much focus on the shape of things.
Right. Yep.
It's more on the atmosphere and the color. It's very important.
It's all implied, right? It's never shown, it's implied.
Yeah, and it's not too explicit. It leaves the imagination free to make up things. And
conjure things in the mind, so to speak. Yeah, that's quite cool. Okay, so pre-pandemic, you've had your lessons with Michael, and things going along nicely. Do you sort of start making a choice to go, I think I might be ready to throw some art out into the universe?
Yes, absolutely. And he was really encouraging that way. He sent me to places to show things, and it's always...
So you're starting to exhibit?
In group shows. And yeah.
How did they go?
It was good. It was really, really exciting for me because I said when I had decided I wanted to learn to paint, but I still didn't know I could do it. Yeah. Until I actually started doing it, and so it was like a revelation to myself. Oh yeah, I can do this. It's really, really different from drawing. It
is. Yeah. So you make the conscious choice to go. I'm gonna be an artist. I'm gonna draw. Yes. I'm going to paint. Well, paint rather. Yeah. Do you put the clinical psychology on the back burner now?
Well, I already had by that time because right. I did my year of training in clinical psychology in this couple of different places in Italy. One was a psychotherapeutic center for immigrants. So we had people from Africa mainly coming through. Mm-hmm. It was really fascinating. And I would have stayed there if there would have been any opportunity of future employment. Right. Yep. It was, I remember one particular instance, there was this girl, she had broken out of a cycle of prostitution, and she was being persecuted by these spirits that she'd been affiliated to in Africa before leaving. And so she had been referred to the center. Okay. And so there was like psychotherapists trained in the Western kind of psychotherapy of whatever current. But then we would do things like give a powder made out of eggshells and to put on her body as a way of calming herself if she was getting agitated. And they would try to integrate things from the client's culture.
So you were integrating not only Western philosophies, but also traditional for her as well. Wow.
Yeah, as much as possible. Yeah. And that makes it works so much better. You get way better results. And people loved coming there. They felt like they were understood. They were not looked at strange, and there was actually progress made therapeutically because of that. And then the other 6 months of my training, which was actually a year when you work for free after your 5 years of study.
After 5 years of study, you have to do a year's worth of free work.
Yeah, and at the end of the year, you pay more than $1,000 to do yet another exam, which gives you the right to call yourself a psychologist. Okay. And not just a graduated in psychology.
Right.
After that, if you want to be a psychotherapist, you have to enroll in a school that you will attend in the weekends while working for nearly free during the week. So that was the situation I was in, and I was like, you have to be really, really, really motivated to want to be a clinical psychologist in Italy. And I was like,
It's okay. It's okay to swear on the podcast. Yeah. You can say shit like that.
I was like, I'm done. I'm done. You know, I studied so hard. I got good marks. I got good results. I got the publication. And here I am working for free with a prospect of working for next to nothing. And for 3 or so years. And my boyfriend moved into Australia and just wanted to move things.
You want to move forward into your life, yeah.
Yeah, but I like also the other place. It was an amazing experience to do this year there. The other place I worked to was for people coming from the what's this like place where you go if you committed some really bad crime, even murder, but you have
prison.
But you've been found to be mentally ill.
Psychiatric facility.
Yes, so there were people coming from
I don't think we can say the old. So back when I was younger, you used to call them like a nut house or something like that, but that's not appropriate nowadays. A psychiatric care facility.
Yeah, no, they were coming from a psychiatric prison and into the psychiatric care facility. There was all really progressive, you know. Okay. There was no gates. People were not locked inside. We were under medication. Some of the and they put me in contact with people that I wouldn't normally have met, and with human experiences that I wouldn't normally have been able to connect with.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. One of the people there was somebody who had stabbed his girlfriend to death because he was convinced she was a witch and she was performing witchcraft on him, you know. And and the place was set up in this beautiful 1800 villa with painted frescoes, and the guy that owned it came from this rich family. He was a psychiatrist with very progressive ideas, so it was all the staff wouldn't wear any uniform when you arrived first as a trainee. You didn't know who was staff and who was there as a patient.
As a patient, That intimidating in any way, shape, or form, knowing the fact that you're like wandering around openly and freely with these people that have committed these horrific crimes.
Yeah, but you see. Because you got to relate to them as people first, because you didn't know if they were mad or not, and you just, you know, they were just acting normal, at least on the surface, and so you have conversation with them, and once you approach them that way, even when you found out the background, you don't think about them differently. You don't, you know, you made the connection. The connection stays. Yeah. And of course, I'm not scared of madness at all, because otherwise I wouldn't have started that path of studying clinical psychology.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So by the time you get to New Zealand, that kind of part of your life you've put behind you.
Yeah, it was amazing to do the field work on the island, and it was a totally positive experience. Became besties with all my tutors. I'm still in touch with them. We visit each other. Yeah, they came to Italy and stayed with my family, the Australian ones.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool.
But I didn't want to be an academic. I found I really like the fieldwork, and my methodology of fieldwork was learning language, talking with people, gathering stories, writing them down with the translation. So writing them down in language.
Yes.
So in Cuba was in Spanish, and in Alcoa was in Jambrapuino, with a side English or Italian translation, and then I thought, what's the point of theorizing so much about it? Here's this deep wealth of knowledge, and I'm content with having gathered it and written it down and preserved. And it's just moved more and more away from my interest in philosophy and in the theoretic field, I really admire people that can do that well. But I found
practical was for you.
Academy wasn't really for me, and and I had a bite of art and feeling very nourished and excited by that, and then I just went traveling and left it all a bit behind.
Oh, nice. So you got to New Zealand with your partner, and you're solely an artist at this point?
I met him in New Zealand, yeah.
Met him in New Zealand, sorry.
Yeah.
So from Australia to New Zealand, met him in New Zealand, and are you just solely focusing on art and nothing else at this point?
Pretty much. So the year previous to coming to New Zealand, I've been living in Hobart in Tasmania with
Hobart?
Hobart, yeah.
Yep.
I was there because a friend from Darwin knew I was gonna travel, and I was in a funny headspace. I had a bad break with another boyfriend.
Right, okay,
An Australian one.
I think we've all had a few relationships where we've broken up, so there's nothing.
Yeah, I was a bit
fine.
I was just, and I was trying to hang on to things as much as I could, and I wanted, but kind of, I felt like I went on a plane with my backpack and feeling like life was kicking me in the butt, and like, no, you're out of here.
Yeah.
It was just, and nothing was working out the way I wanted, and needed a full change. So anyway, she hooked me up with some friends of hers. We're gonna have a restaurant stall at a circus festival in Tasmania.
Wow. Okay.
So I went volunteering. I went and as a volunteer, had a free ticket for the festival.
Yes.
I met a whole bunch of people there, and I'm still friends with quite a few of them.
Oh, nice.
And then somebody mentioned to me this lady that took in woofers. So it's you work and in exchange for accommodation and food.
Oh, right. Yep.
And she had handmade. It's a clothing business, handmade, recycle, upcycle clothing business, and so where I was doing art was into textiles then, and
wow.
the main focus was on plant dyeing. So my days were filled with going out to op shop to get blankets or materials or clothes to dye, and then going to the bush or the beach gathering plant materials or sea material to dye with.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then learning to dye, and I made a joke about that because that's quite that's what the Buddhists say we do in life. We learn to dye. But
yes.
This guy was like learning to dye with colors.
Learning to dye with color.
And that's when my very first exhibit in opportunity was living with this lady, Kate Fletcher. It's one of my best friends.
Lady Kate Fletcher.
No, with this lady, her name is Kate Fletcher.
Right.
But she could be called Lady Kate Fletcher. Yeah. And we used to call her La Reina, the Queen, because of her personality. And
that's awesome.
It's a really generous person. She had lots of people going through her place, and at the time was 5 of us living with her, and
oh, wow.
And lots of projects. She will organize every year the sustainable fashion show as part of a sustainable living fair they have there in Hobart every year.
Yeah.
They gather all the designers in the area and that were inclined and do a whole catwalk show out of it.
Wow.
I also did puppetry and basking with puppets at that time when I was in Tasmania. I traveled. I did
amazing.
I did like sewing and craft. As a child, I grew up seeing my mom sewing. She's a good sewer, and she would indulge my requests for this or that. Oh, let's do a hat that looks like a crocodile, and she'd
sew it up.
That. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm not really a sewer. Like my dresses are all wonky and weird, but anyway, I was doing these puppets out of cloth.
Okay.
I'd been working at a market stall, and the stall in Darwin, and the stall next to us was this amazing puppet maker.
Yeah.
He used clay, and but I couldn't travel with clay, and I didn't know how to use clay or kiln or anything like that.
Yeah.
So textile was the next good things. And then I fill them up. I make little hands or heads. You need weight in the head, in the hands, and in the feet for a string puppet. And I fill them up with sand. And I like the fact that I would gather sand from the places where I was going through. Yeah. And then I had this puppet look like me, and I had plaits, and I made plaits just from my hair. Yeah. I would dress a bit the same. And because I feel that was music the way you feel towards painting, I like it, and I like it even more because I cannot do it. I'll just approach baskets and make my puppet dance next to them, and do it.
Northland Artists Conversation are incredibly proud to support the Quarry Arts Centre. Quarry Arts Centre, amazing place, located on Selwyn Ave in Whangarei. Such a wonderfully beautiful venue. They are an art gallery, and they have some amazing exhibitions, and they also hold Te Kōwhai Print Trust as well. Another really, really cool artistic endeavour that's done as well. They will have different exhibitions and shows of all different types of medium available as well, and they're such a long-standing venue in the community as well. Highly recommend you checking them out. Fantastic place. Really, really cool to take the kids and family as well. So, Northland Arts Conversation, proud to support the Quarry Arts Centre. So I just got to see if I've got this right. You're doing your fabric creation and dyeing, DYE, not DIE, and then you make your puppets as well, and this is all in Hobart. Yeah. And you're living, and then we're over in New Zealand, and now we arrive at the penultimate, the be-all and end-all creative expression of art. Yes. Of painting. And obviously, as I said at the start, you've brought some examples in here. Once again, I encourage people to check out the YouTube, because they are beautiful. How did you finally arrive at your style? Because every painter, drawer, illustrator, graphic designer, they all have a particular style. How did you arrive at yours? I don't know. I don't know a quick answer. But doesn't have to be a quick answer. It's not a quick podcast. I've been told by other people that I have a lot of different styles. Okay. And I guess because I'm so new to painting and to taking visual art seriously. Yeah. I'm still experimenting with different things. It's like I just came, and I guess sometimes if I really like someone, like say Waterhouse, I do I make a point of no matter how many ideas of my own I have, to do a copy. It's called study after, not a copy. In we don't copy, do we? Don't copy. We study. Don't copy. We study. Study after. Yes. Study after our painters. It's a really good way to upgrade your skills. And then, of course, when you go and do your own thing, you carry some of that something of that artist in you. You bring some of that journey through. Yeah. And then this is other artist, Nicola Murray. Is a photographer. He took quite a few. The most beautiful pictures we know of Frida Kahlo were taken by him, and so I done quite a few studies after Nicola Murray's portraits of Frida Kahlo, and they got something really peculiar and something really special about the use of color. It's really unconventional. And so was Frida Kahlo's use of color in her clothing and her dressing style. She had a very unique style, didn't she? She was a lady all of her own. Yeah, she lived her art. She didn't just paint. She also she very much lived and breathed her art, didn't she? Yes. Now, of the three paintings that we've got, hang on. That one is being called Meow-moth. Meow-moth? Somebody suggested the title, I like it. Meow-moth? Meow-moth. Okay, that makes sense. This one is your most recent one, the big one in the centre. which of these two is first?
This one.
So the one down the bottom.
Yeah.
Alice stepping through the mirror. Is it Alice? Someone stepping through a looking glass?
Yeah. So it's Alice, I say. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to pick this one up so I can show it to my camera because I think this is very beautiful. Oh, there we go. Editor Rocky, can we see that? Yeah, he's given me the nod. So we've got this one here now. Interestingly enough, on the back is something. Is it quite common for artists to repurpose their canvas or their work that they put art on?
It's not so easy with canvas, but because I use boards.
Yes,
it's easy to do, and if I often have ideas that don't work out. I found when I started the painting that's at the back of that, I was at the very beginning, and I just bit a bit more that I could chew, and then I thought, okay, I'm not there yet, and it's a subject that now it's been 2 years.
On the back.
Yeah, it's been 2 years since I tried it out. I could try again. It probably would work a bit better. But
I'll be honest, I find the back fascinating. I find it... Am I allowed to turn it around and show our viewers?
Sure.
So obviously, for people that are watching, this is a completed piece at the front, right?
Yeah.
This is fully finished, fully formed and realised the way that you wanted it to, yeah?
Yeah.
But this one here... This was an original idea and concept that you sort of had, but then you decided to sort of go, no.
Yeah, because it wasn't really... I just found doing a stormy sea and paired up with a stormy sky, I just wasn't there. Technically, they're both quite... so for me, it's easy to do figures and something but with this water and sky, especially back then, were a bit out of my league. I learned something by trying it out. So it's not a failure. It's a learning step.
I think this is amazing because it's very dark.
I can tell a little story about that.
Oh yes, please go on.
So this is what I tried to do, a painted version of one of my watercolor pencil series, A3 watercolor pencil drawing.
Yep, okay.
So this is a bit different, but same.
Slight bigger version.
Same subject.
Yeah. Okay.
Slightly bigger, and with the drawing version, it's got a tornado full of things. There's a possum and a truck and all kind of things flying over the head of this little girl.
Oh yeah.
And there's waves, but like the more stylized waves in the okusai, the okusai wave form. And the idea came from house sitting for a friend of ours in Australia, and she didn't like the drawing in the end, but I was guilty of being nosing through her family photos, which were on the bookshelf.
Yeah.
I'm a very nosy person.
That's okay.
And I found this little photo of her as a young girl with a little umbrella and a white dress. And
and that's the representation of her in the painting. Wow. Okay.
And she had, like everyone, she had her share of things happening in life, and she grew up to be a extraordinary, strong, open woman, and that made, and seeing her that little with umbrella just made me think, she looks little and fragile and cute, but she's already very strong. She's already got the seed of this future strength there. And that's what I call the drawing resilience, and that's why there's this tornado going through her head, and she's standing on a rock that's got the shape of a heart, of an anatomical heart. And
it's a great title for a piece of art as well.
So looking frail, but actually strong.
Nice. Well, it's interesting because not very often do you get to see. Like a project that's, I guess, abandoned, or let go, because obviously, but then you decide to repurpose it and use that and create that, which is very much a contrast, aren't they? Because this is all bright colours, and it's all very still. Whereas the one on the back is dark colours, but motion.
Yeah,
I know. I get deep on these podcasts, everyone.
I have those because if you cannot paint with acrylic on oil. You can do oil on acrylic, but not vice versa. So to paint over the painting that I dislike, it will mean I'll have to use oil paint to cover it up and then wait for it to dry and it just get messy, and so you just leave it.
I'm going to pop that one back down.
That's why it's easier to turn and start again than.
Here we go. And then obviously we've been led to here as where we've ended up. It's funny, you can actually see some of the work on the back of this one as it's coming through the different textural sky.
Yes.
Which is very, very beautiful.
Yeah, the sky looks in a way simple, but to get there, I had to go through there.
Got to start there to get here. Yeah. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm actually very, very blown away by that piece of art. I think it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
It's it's incredible. Where can people find your art? Just out of curiosity, because it's always important for our artists to be able to find bits and pieces.
I don't have any solo shows coming up, but it's various ways. It's a person way. You can come and visit me in my home studio. Where it's
you have a home studio?
Yeah, and my house is full of my paintings. I got like maybe 40 paintings at the moment.
That's very cool.
And then now and then there will be a group show. I think the next one is going to be organized by Creative Northland. It's at the Quest Hotel.
The Quest Hotel. They've got that beautiful entranceway where they put art in there.
Yes.
Yeah, lovely.
I'm planning to have a piece in there, and I was thinking maybe about this one.
This one would be lovely.
Yeah, because it's in a hotel hall. You need something a bit bigger size, and then there's gonna be a show at the there's gonna be pieces in the Quarry Art Center gallery shop.
Oh, lovely.
We're gonna have actually a special show for exhibition before Christmas that consists in everything not more than $200 from or various artists affiliated with the quarry, so good deals there.
Great deals at the Quarry Arts Centre, folks.
Yeah, and then there will be in February a group show also at the Quarry Arts Centre. It's about maybe I shouldn't announce that. That hasn't been confirmed, but maybe there will be another group show. And,
in February.
In February.
We'll leave that. Stay tuned, listeners and viewers. There. Yeah, and then, that's exciting.
I'm working on my website, so it's good deal of my paintings are already there.
Yeah.
And I have fun with Instagram. I like.
You a bit of an Instagram person?
I like that way of connecting with people.
Oh, lovely!
I think I like my Instagram. So if you want to have a look.
What's your Instagram handle?
It's my name and surname, all one word. So
Cecilia De Donatis.
And art at the end.
And art.
Yeah.
Right. Editor Rocky, we need to just put that down. Cecilia. Yep. I'm getting a thumbs up, so we'll put that down.
Okay.
So it's lovely. Wow. Hard to believe, isn't it? Cecilia De Donatis.
Yeah.
We got through it.
Yeah.
We came out the other side. It was painless, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I know. There's a bit of nerves when you start. It's like that for a lot of people. They come in, they sit down, they see the cameras and the lights, they see the big expensive microphone. But here we are. You're all done. Amazing. Thank you so much for coming in and sitting down with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
you very much. Andrew, Cecilia De Donatis.
That's not my last name?
No, that's not. It's not, you plonker. But the guest that people just listened to or watched. What a twat.
You said it like it was one name. I was like,
no, there's a Andrew, comma. Cecilia de Donatis.
I didn't see no comma.
You don't see a comma. It's implied when you talk. I could go, Andrew.
Anyway.
Cecilia de Donatis. And
That's
then you know
way
there's a
better.
fucking pause
See,
there.
why couldn't you do that the first time?
Don't give me grief.
But no, that was a cool one.
I know, man. Who puppetry?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
you stole it.
I know. I filthed the idea. Man, just what a random creative.
Went from the north of Australia to the deep south of Australia.
I know. And then she's going, she talks about, before really diving into her painting, she goes, well, I did textiles and I did puppetry. It's like, what?
Yeah. And like her talking about watercolor versus oil paints.
Yes.
Like that was a pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I thought everything kind of had merit, but in terms of like, I guess looking at the value of art.
Yeah.
Certain mediums are worth more. So.
Yeah, that for me that was really, really interesting because she goes, because she's talking about pencil.
Yeah.
She goes from pencil to
paint.
Actual paint because she gets told that this is what you're meant to do and this is how you make money.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. And also another fascinating thing I found is like life kind of got in the way of her art initially. I guess her journey was real long to get to the point where she got where she is now. So like, man. Yeah, really, really cool. Because one of the conundrums I get stuck in is what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
And so to hear other people's journeys and just go, I can just take it a bit slower.
Exactly. And, she talks about having only started her art in 2019.
Yeah, exactly.
Really. Well,
taking it
it seriously, Yeah. Her journey around Australia with her sketchbook and stuff like that. But as in her words, 2019 is kind of when she, kind of got stuck into it. You know, so she's, it's what, 3 years, give or take.
Yeah.
That she's sort of been like actually properly having a go at it, and it's interesting because you can like with the 3 pieces she brings in, you can see the evolution, and how it all starts. And even like the one cool thing is that she let me show
that one on the back. That resonated with me hard. It did. Just the chaos of it.
I know,
so cool.
I know. As soon as I saw it, because obviously I put the art in place and I kind of had a brief glance.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I picked it up and I had it on my lap so people could see it that I actually got to look at the back, and I was like, man, that's just destructive chaos and
carnage. There's a straight up contrast on both sides of that piece.
And there's this young, innocent girl standing in the middle of it. I was like, this is just amazing.
Yeah, no, I thought that one was cool. Because one of my favourite works of art is that Great Wave off Kanagawa, or whatever it is. I don't know the name of it, but my keychain, I got a keychain with it on it.
Yes.
And so I don't know why I resonate with ocean art, like when it's depicted, I guess, or painted.
Oh, wow.
So like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
With the waves on both sides kind of encompassing it.
And the stormy clouds above it as well. Yeah, just amazing.
But and then she goes, to get to there, I had to do that. Like, it's kind of like she was almost clearing a creative block with it.
Yeah, like she's going,
there's art in that too.
Yep. I'm going to try this, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah, I guess
but it's going to get me to here.
Yeah, I guess I kind of drew a similarity because it's like with music.
Yes.
Sometimes I make absolutely stupid freestyle tracks with Steve.
Yeah.
And they're just random. They don't mean anything. They're quite often parody-like. But it clears the creative chamber, Yeah. And then you can go into the next thing that you're actually going to take serious. So it's kind of a similar thing, I guess. It's just getting that out to move on and progress.
Yeah. For those people that don't know, Steve is the amazing musical talent that did the intro and the outro for the podcast.
Hoofprints 2.
Hoofprints. It's a great track. We only put a little snippet at the start, but at the full intro, there's the big chunk. But there's actually a whole part of that song, isn't there? Which is really cool.
There's actually a really cool bass run in there.
Yeah.
Like a wonky bass run. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah,
really cool track.
It's
he's always good like that.
Yeah,
sat down and made a track with him on the weekend too.
Was
it the weekend? Last weekend? I don't know. Can't remember.
You were busy being Amish this weekend, so maybe last weekend.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Where can people find this amazing podcast?
So for visuals, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Northern Artist Conversation. For audio, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify at Northern Artist Conversation. If you're an artist in the region If you see someone in the paper and you're like, man, that'd be a cool feature on the podcast or something, like I do with Mark here, hit up the email. It's hello@northlandartistconversation.co.nz. So
yeah, definitely
get amongst it.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely get amongst it. And if you're someone that would like to give a little bit more to the podcast than just a thumbs up or a love heart on Facebook or Instagram, or a like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube, we have a Patreon page as well, and you can go in and you can become a member and you can sign up with us with Patreon. And we have 2 tiers. First tier we have is cup of coffee, and that's $5 a month. Second tier we have is Coffee Addict, and that's $20 a month. And the Coffee Addict tier gets a few extra perks that the cup of coffee doesn't get, which we think is really, really cool. So, you get a shout out on each podcast episode, but you also get to ask the artists that we have coming up questions as well. So I'll post on there saying who we've got coming up. So if you have someone that you would, a specific question rather, that you would like us to ask the artist, 100%, we can do that as well. And you find that at patreon.com/Northern Artists Conversation, or go to Google and type in Patreon. That's Patreon, and in the top right hand corner search Northern Artists Conversation, and you'll see us there.
That was a comma, by the way.
It was a comma, thank you. going back to that. But it's important, I want to give 2 shout outs to our 2 patrons who are amazing. Michael Boter, who is a patron. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. And Lauren Roach, who was the original, the OG. She was the first. Thank you very much. Both writers too, and both have been on the podcast as well, which I think is very, very cool. So thank you very much, guys. We appreciate your continued support. It really does mean a lot. $20 a month isn't really a lot, is it, Andrew?
No, it's $5 a week.
Exactly.
70 cents a day. Something like that. It's actually, that's pretty good. But it means you're supporting a local initiative. Yeah, for sure.
And it means that we can keep doing this and we can keep going, and because I think that's the ultimate goal, is to sort of turn this into something that's quite self-sustaining.
And exactly, and it's free to come on here. So it's cool to get support in behind and help us make this even better.
Yeah, so we have had some artists reach out to us asking us to send them an invoice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's like, no.
What
guys,
for? We get the content.
Yeah, if you are, as Andrew said, if you're an artist, A, this is free, B, this is essentially publicity, C, this gives all of your people who know about your art, but also people who don't know about you, an opportunity to discover more about you as an artist and more about what you do. It is completely free, and again, that's hello@Northern Artist Conversation. Please, .co.nz. Please email us. Man, we'd love to have just a broad spectrum of artists on board, because that's what it's all about, right? It's not about set artistic types. Like who have we had this year? We've had a chef. Yep. We've had the mayor. We've had
a graffiti artist.
We've had a potter.
Yeah.
Or a couple of potters.
A few painters now.
Illustrators in general as well.
Yeah.
We've had writers. We've had an actor.
We have.
Or a couple of actors.
Yeah.
We'd love to start branching out. Tattoo artists.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to get a hip hop guy, and maybe you, Andrew. Maybe
sitting right here, bud.
Sitting right there. We get you in amongst it. But next year, because this podcast will come out in 2023. Hard to believe. But we have got some very, very, very cool guests lined up for 2023 already, and we've been very lucky to get a couple of them. So super stoked.
And I'm going to keep approaching people.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got a few in mind.
Excellent.
And come into your inbox.
Yes. And I've got a couple that I'm sort of quietly working on as well, which will be one of them. Two of them will be really, really cool. They'll be really good gets.
Cool.
So Other than that, whoosh, to the wide. My name is Mark Kelly.
And I'm Andrew McKenzie.
Thank you very much for watching and listening to the Northland Artist Conversation. We will see you guys real soon.